Imagine it's Friday night. Well-meaning friends have dragged you to a popular cafe to celebrate the end of the work week. The music is loud, the neon lights are flashing, and everywhere you look, people are shouting over each other just to be heard. Outwardly, you're smiling and participating, but internally, your brain is redlining. Your mental state feels like a computer struggling to process 50 open web browser tabs at the same time. Then, you finally make it home. An hour later, you sit down in your room entirely alone, wrapped in complete silence. You can physically feel your nervous system resetting, but almost immediately, the questions start creeping in. You wonder why you can't just be a social person. You feel a pang of guilt, questioning if this constant craving to be alone is a sign of depression or some kind of social failure. That preference for a quiet room is a specific behavioral trait. When isolation is self-selected, it functions as a high-leverage environmental tool, one that history's most effective minds used to outperform the crowd. Consider a man who describes his workspace as the most boring office you will ever see. No glass-walled cabins, no collaborative whiteboards, and absolutely no coworkers. And he intentionally avoids high-powered computers because their cooling fans make too much noise. He demands pure silence. Born in Finland in 1969, he was never the popular kid. While others played outside, he spent his days doing math and solving puzzles. When his parents had guests over, his siblings had to brief him on who was in the living room and how to greet them properly. He wasn't trying to build a corporate empire, he simply loved the logic of coding. Every time he faced a problem, he wrote a script to solve it, satisfying his own internal curiosity. Working alone in his house, often in a bathrobe, he began building a complex operating system. He wanted to show his project to others, but he had no desire for face-to-face interaction, so he released the code online and managed all collaboration strictly via email. That solitary project became Linux. Today, tech giants like Google use his architecture as the foundation for Android, a business that has generated over $30 billion in revenue. And yet, Linus Torvalds remains perfectly content living a quiet, isolated life. Torvalds maintained his productivity by insulating his workspace from the friction of external stimuli, protecting the solitary zone required for his work. This pattern of deliberate isolation spans both logic and art. Glenn Gould was a piano prodigy whose talent left critics in awe, but he deeply resented the concert hall. He viewed live audiences as a distraction, a group of people waiting for the artist to make a mistake. At the height of his fame, Gould made a radical decision. At age 31, he walked away from live performances and the public eye forever. He set a strict condition for his career. He would only record in a perfectly controlled, entirely private environment. For him, music was a personal experience that required total privacy to execute correctly. For these creators, isolation served as a laboratory for perfecting their craft, free from the interference of a public audience. Self-determination theory, or SDT, is the scientific framework that explains why some people thrive in isolation, while others break down. It outlines three basic human needs: autonomy, competence, and connection. First is autonomy, the need to feel you are choosing your own actions. When you are forced into a loud social setting, your control is stripped away. Choosing to retreat to a quiet room allows you to reclaim your own schedule and environment. The second pillar is competence, the feeling that you are capable and improving. Total, uninterrupted quiet gives the brain the bandwidth needed to focus on difficult skills, providing the internal gratification of solving a complex problem. The third is connection. Everyone requires human bonds, but introverts fulfill this need efficiently. A single digital message to a close friend can satisfy the biological need for connection without the exhaustion of a group dynamic. This science highlights the difference between forced isolation and chosen isolation. Forced isolation creates stress and confusion, whereas chosen isolation aligns with your psychology to fulfill these three core needs. Your desire to cancel plans and work alone doesn't make you a weirdo or a failure. A quiet desk in the corner of a room acts as a specialized workspace, calibrated for a specific psychological profile to achieve peak performance. Potential is unlocked by leaning into your needs, having the autonomy to operate on your own terms, and doing your best work in the quiet.